Hello. I will be brief. I found this in the library. There's when I go into my local library branch over here, a couple of blocks away, when you walk in, there's a place where there's recommended books or, someone's. Anyway, this was on the recommended book rack, and it was like, little, and it was somebody I had not read before. What it is Gabriel Garcia Márquez, Chronicle of a Death Foretold. So what this is a little story about this little town, I guess a Caribbean town, where there is various types of people. There is Santiago. What's his name? Santiago Nassar. There's a bunch of Turks that live in this town, and their background is they came from Turkey, some time ago, and they're really integrated part of the hood there, and they are also. And we also told that they're Catholics, so there's not any sort of rivalry of religion or anything like that with the general Catholicism of the inhabitants there on this little island or wherever it's supposed to be. Doesn't really specify, I don't think, unless I missed it. So it's a story about this rich guy that comes to town. There's a river there, so that's kind of cool. There's a river, and it's this big day because the bishop is going to come through. So the bishop rides through on a boat, and there's issues of whether the bishop is going to stop by and get off the boat and like bless the people that way, when normally he just kind of waves, and blesses whatever they do, on the boat, and doesn't bother to come to see all the people who, it's a big day for the people. They all come out to the dock and whatever, and so everybody's excited about this day where the bishop is coming, and there's this rich guy in town, and he's been looking for a wife somewhere, and let the cat out. He's been looking for a wife. He's a young man, and he's rich. And so he comes into town, and he's all flashy and all that. It looks great. And he finds a woman that he wants to marry. Her name is Angela. So they decide to get married, and there's going to be this enormous wedding. This is all happening at the same day with the bishop coming through. That there's this, the next morning, the bishop comes through after this big blowout wedding the night before, where they spend a lot of money, and they have big thing. And this guy buys a house, the great house from the widower that he really likes, and gives him a lot of money to get the house because he really wants the house. And the widower doesn't want to give it up, but he does. And I'm going to talk spoilers with this book. So they get married, and then go to the house, and there's a secret in that the bride is not a virgin, and apparently one can tell whether someone is a virgin or not when they have intercourse. I'm kind of sketchy about all that. Like, it's supposed to be sort of blood or something. I don't know. Anyway, I don't remember ever experiencing these things myself in my deflowering virgins. Did I ever deflower a virgin? I think I have, actually. I don't think it's a big deal. Anyway, so he he's really upset that she ends up not being a virgin. And so, she has gotten him really drunk, and there's all this old wives stuff where when you want to fool your husband, you're not a virgin, you bring him a mercurochrome, and you do this and that, and you get him really drunk, and then after the act, you put some mercurochrome on the sheet to make it look like you've bled a little bit, and then all is well. So she didn't do all that, and for some reason, there's a guy that's telling the story, this narrator who's somebody in the town and knows all these people, and like a cousin of them or something. So what happens is Angela's brothers, Angela's brought back home and dumped back in her house with her mother and her parents, whatever. And Angela has two twin brothers, and they're appalled that her honor has been besmirched, and somehow her mom beats the shit out of her. Actually, her mom just kind of hits her all over the face, and so her face is all bruised up and covered. So that's to be covered, and so the brothers are going to there's going to be an honor killing. So there's all this stuff about the brothers. They have hogs, and they have these big hogging knives and stuff. So they get the hogging knives, and they go after Mr. Nassar, and eventually they murder him. And then this guy goes back and looks back at the story, and it was what happened. And we never do find out who was actually the one who screwed the Angela to make her unvirgin, but whatever. So I tell you, I didn't really love this book. It was sort of like, I've not read him before, as I said. I didn't read the whatever the 100 Years of Solitude or whatever it is. He's a Nobel Prize winner, all that. But I'm when I hear magical realism, I kind of go for the exit, because magical realism isn't really my kind of thing. And I don't know if this is magical realism, but it wasn't my thing, and I didn't really get into any of the characters. I didn't really care. And these people, these screwed up people in this town, basically is a chronicle of a screwed up society and what can go on. Now, reading some Goodreads reviews, they talk about the sexism, obvious sexism and racism that's going on here with Nassar getting murdered, and all the big deal about the Virgin and all that. And I'm not going to attack the book for that, because that's that's what they're like. That was what the scene was. It's descriptive, documentary about what people were like, and it's like, what, they're supposed to comment on it or something? No, it's a story about what these people were like, and this is what it is, and it's horrible, and you go, gee, of course, our modern sensibilities, we wouldn't be like that, but then it's actually, in some cases, we are. And so I didn't, I can't criticize the book for being, unwoke because of these things, because it's not that kind of a book. It's just a story on this, it's short, like 120 pages, and it's just, this is what it is. And in that way, it's kind of cool. But on the other hand, it's not my thing. It reminded me of B. Travin's novel, A Bridge in the Jungle, which is one of my favorites ever. And there's a lot of things about it. Certain things about it were like that. And there's a little bit of magical realism maybe in A Bridge in the Jungle, but to me, it's one of my favorite novels, and this is not. So we'll talk later.